Something seems off about the city today. That's good. That's... Okay, no, we've seen this though. Yeah, the guys in hoods. They're panicking. Oh, but now Kazuna's here. Yeah. Kazuna anxiously slides closer to me. It's probably best if you went home, Kazuna. She kept insisting to be brought along to Senri headquarters. Outlasted by her stubborn persistence, I ended up bringing her with me, but a pack of crazy cultists. There's no point in coming just for fun. Might end in disaster. Kazuna stubbornly refuses to give in. Sheesh. Sighing grabbed Kazuna's arm. Got no choice if things have come to this. On one condition. Don't wander away from me. Got it? Looks like today's strangeness has even found its way to Senri headquarters. Forbidden. Came here to see if I had the faithful. Wait, whoa. I missed a line. This girl was also impressed by the words of the leader and wants to become a member of the church too. Commander of the no one's in, everyone's out. Get out. That plays out the same. Snow gets heavier in the afternoon. Shadow from Senri followers. Push through the crowd. We're looking for someone. Let's see. It's probably best if we wait for this trouble to die down before continuing our investigation into Senri. Using this opportunity to infiltrate Senri headquarters crossed my mind, but I want to refrain from doing anything reckless while it's still light out. Got no choice to head back. Do you still decide to take back roads? Yes, okay.
Shugo-san?
It's pretty much plays out the exact same, except Kazuna's just there as well. We take the back roads, then all of a sudden...
Shugo-san?
Oh. Instead of being like, oh, Tokiko Shugo. Now it's you. Aha. I see. At that moment, she crumples listlessly into the snow. She's bleeding. Oh. Well, that would make sense. Considering on how they're twins and all. And how Yura was absolutely the one behind the curtain. Why did you call Kazuna Yura-sama? Silent treatment.
Shugo-san, いい加減にしてください。Tokiko-san は怪我をしているんですよ。
Well, you know, I gave Kazuna's sleeve a tug and tore her into the corner of the room. Just trying to get what information I can out of her. I say in a whisper.
そんなこと後にしてください。Tokiko-sanには元気になってもらうのが先です。静かに休ませてあげてください。
Did you see her wounds, though? Normally a person would die from those sort of stab wounds. She's damn lucky.
それがどうかしたんですか?
It just tells us how dangerous the people chasing after her are. We've already gotten ourselves dragged into this mess. Isn't it natural to want information so that I can protect us?
だからといって、それとこれとは話は別です。怪我をしている人に無理をさせたらダメです。
Oh, come on, Kazuna. How easygoing could she possibly be?
いいから、シュウゴさんは黙って見ててください。
She points her finger at me, then returns to Tokiko's side.
あんなひどい人の言うこと聞かなくてもいいですからね。さあ、横になってください。とりあえず今は安静にしていないとダメですよ。
A slight twinge of emotion slips onto Shigusa Tokiko's formerly blank face. Might have something to do with why she called her Yura. She stares at Kazuna with a complicated expression on her face. In finally. She's asleep. After a short while, her panting turns into the rhythmic breathing you expect from someone who's fallen asleep. Kazuna continues to watch over Tokiko, her face a mask of concern. Sheesh. Why on earth have things turned out this way? After she collapsed in the alley, her shoulder's injured, she's emaciated. Yep.
Shugo-san, 私、お医者様を呼んできます。
She's gonna say, oh, doctor, and Tokiko's gonna say, hey, no doctors. Being chased.
Shugo-san?
Yep. We're in an alley with no other people. Take her back to the apartment.
Yo katta desu ne. Tokiko-san no kizu, taishita koto nakute.
Yeah, otherwise it would have been out of my league.
Ha.
Tokiko kept refusing to see a doctor even after we brought her back to her room. Obviously, Kazuna had absolutely no medical training. That meant that I was the only one who could do anything to help her. Fortunately, they didn't hit any of her vitals, though she lost a lot of blood. It wasn't as deep. Thanks to first aid. What worries me is how weak she is right now. I noticed a purple bruise on the inside of Tokiko's left elbow, perhaps blood congestion. Could she possibly have been doing...
Huh? Shugo-san, 何かおっしゃいましたか?
Nothing. Push aside the doubts welling up beside my chest. Tokiko's sleeping quietly at the moment. She's stable. Hopefully it'll stay that way, however. But at least prepare ourselves for the worst case scenario here.
Ha. Youjin desu ka?
Kazuna cocks her head at me quizzically. Oh, that's right. Sorry, Kazuna, but it looks like I won't be able to sleep with you tonight.
Hi!
There's something bothering me. I'm gonna stay up all night and look after that girl. I know you're burning up for me and you'll be lonely, but you'll just have to hold back for now.
何を言ってるんですか? 別に寂しくなんてないし、そもそも体がほてったりって何ですか? 意味がわかりませんわよ!
You dummy, keep it down, you're too loud.
ごめんなさい.
She looks over at the sleeping Tokiko and quickly lowers her voice.
でも、そうしたら、Shugo-さんは一晩中起きていることになりますけど。
It's no big deal. Used to pulling all-nighters due to my work anyhow.
でも...
Kazuna ponders things for a bit.
わかりました。交代制にしましょう。
No, she declares. Huh? What?
要はトキコさんの看病ですよね。私もお役に立ちたいですから。
No. Well, yeah, but truth is I'm actually guarding her.
だいたい途中でついうとうとしたらどうするつもりなんですか？シューゴさんだってもう若くないんだし、そんなに無理は聞きませんよね。
Damn it. Bringing up my age was a low blow.
はい、納得しましたね。それじゃあシューゴさん、一緒に頑張りましょう。
Ugh. That's both disheartening and reassuring at the same time. I nodded my agreement, frown creasing my brow. When it comes time to lay out the futons.
あれあれ、そういえばこの部屋に布団って一組しかないんですよね。
Kazuna asked me while I have my head stuck inside the closet. Nope, I never said there was only one. Drag out another futon from deep inside.
え？だってゆうべは。
You just didn't see the one underneath it. There was a spare futon prepared for us in there.
はい？
Whatever. Could you give me a hand here?
はい。
Costa helps me spread out the futon with a puzzled look on her face. After a short discussion, we decide that I'll go to sleep first and change shifts with Kazuna shortly after midnight. Alrighty, counting on you to get this done, she's gonna fall asleep.
はい。後のことは私に任せて、シュウゴさんは頑張ってゆっくり寝ちゃってください。
Keep it down.
あ、ごめんなさい。
Crestfallen, she slumps her shoulders. I shoot a glance over at Tokiko out of the corner of my eye as I settle myself into the futon. She's resting peacefully. Looks like her condition's pretty stable for now. Hope she lasts through the night. There's a few other doubts wearing away at my mind, but I close my eyes and drift off to sleep. But a few hours later, my fears turn into reality. It's a strained groaning cry. Hear some clothes rustling. I can see Kazuna crouched over Tokiko.
Tokiko-san!
She sounds rather overwhelmed. Tokiko's brow is covered in a sheen of sweat, her face is deathly pale, and she's grinding her teeth. Her thin body shakes as though she's in some kind of delirium. Her nails dig into her own flesh as she wraps her arms around herself. Blood slowly seeps out from her cuts.
トキコさん、どうしたんですか?
Kazuna turns frantic as she strokes Tokiko's back. A large volume of vomit spews forth from her mouth.
Tokiko-san!
Paying no heed to the vomit that's just covered her clothes, Kazuna hugs Tokiko as her body's racked by spasms. Shit! I leap out of my futon. Move it, Kazuna!
Hi!
Change places with Kazuna and pin Tokiko down with the futon.
突然Tokiko-sanが苦しみ出してどうしてこんなことに
These are probably withdrawal symptoms. I've heard rumors that Senri uses drugs in order to exercise control over their members. Let's take a look at this purple bruise on the inside of her left arm. There's no mistaking what that is.
そんな
Looks like things are getting pretty ugly. We have to do something. We're gonna get a doctor. You have no qualms about that, right, Shikisa Tokiko? Faint glimmer of life returns to her glazed over eyes after I address her.
ダメです
She chokes out broken sentences through quivering lips encrusted with flecks of vomit. Do you really not give a damn about your own life?
私の
What?
私のコートの裏に
Fierce seizure rocks her body. Use my entire body to hold her down so she doesn't wriggle away from me. That's not what you're supposed to do with seizure patients, I don't think. But, Kazuna, come on.
はいわかりました
Kazuna scurries off as I yell at her.
お持ちしましたこれですね
She throws out a coat that had been folded up and left in the corner of the room. Hey, she brought me the coat. What am I supposed to do with this? However, Tokiko's already lost consciousness. Oh shit, not good. All the strength drained from her body and her eyes have rolled up into her head. Her emaciated body's probably succumbed to the effects of whatever drug she's been taking.
シューゴさんこのままじゃ
I know, give me a second. She said it was inside her coat, right? I reached through the thick garment. There's a small leather-bound package in one of the interior pockets. Is this it? As per my expectations, there's a few ampules of clear fluid inside, as well as a small syringe. Look at Tokiko's pale face as she draws ragged breaths, then turned to look at the syringe laying beside me. Never given anyone a shot before. Will this really work? Mixed feelings of unease and puzzlement inside my head caused me to freeze up.
シューゴさん早く
Okay. I steel myself and grab her left arm. The sweat's practically dripping off my brow. There's no way to tell if this is the right drug. There's no time left to think. From the way she's panting, I can tell that I'm going to have to act quickly. Don't hate me if I screw this up, okay? And clear fluid inside the syringe is slowly absorbed into her body. Well, alright then. After a short while, as Kaz and I watch over Tokiko with bated breath, the color gradually begins returning to her face, and her breathing returns to normal.
お薬効いたのでしょうか
Well, she's still breathing. Take out a syringe from the small leather pouch. A faint yellow fluid swirls around as I hold it up to the window. I don't know anything about drugs, so I have no idea what kind of compound this might be.
どうしてトキコさんはそんなものを使っていたのでしょうか
Beats me. Maybe she wanted to experience something different. Or perhaps somebody got her addicted to the stuff.
薬漬けってどうして
The reason is simple. It's easy to control people that way. Once you've given them a taste of the drug, the rest is simple. They won't resist you as long as you keep giving it to them. There are even some types of drugs that will let your body resist the effects of fatigue. It's pretty convenient for those Senri members.
そこまでして
ん
人を踏みにじるような真似までしてその教団は何をするつもりなんでしょうか
Cult stuff. That's what we're gonna try to find out.
私
After a moment of silence, Kazuna lifts her head up.
トキコさんの服洗濯してきます
At this ungodly hour? Why don't you just do it tomorrow?
でもやっぱり汚れたままの服じゃトキコさんも気持ちが悪いと思いますから
Kazuna disappears into the kitchen. I lean back against the wall and keep an eye on Tokiko while she sleeps. She's barely got any meat left on her bones. Hell, even her cheeks are sunken and pale. But to go that far, why the hell is Tokiko so devoted to Senri? She must be trying to protect someone within the cult, but with the way she stubbornly refused police and medical assistance. Man, oh man. A veritable cornucopia of questions without answers starts to swirl around inside my brain. It's 222 day. It's already light outside by the time I come to. I kept thinking and thinking about things until the break of dawn while watching over Tokiko, but... Ugh. Looks like I drifted off at some point. I can hear the loud clamor of the city coming through the window. Appears as though it's nearly noon. Nuts. Kazuna was completely right. Well, that's shameful. I'm the one who said I'd be fine staying up all night, too. Speaking of Kazuna, it looks like looking after Tokiko has sapped her of her strength. She's asleep, wrapped in a blanket at Tokiko's side. Huh? It's then that I notice. At some point, Tokiko had sat up and is staring blankly out the window. So she's awake. Hey, you. She still looks a bit pale, but it's not as bad as it was yesterday. Rather, she seems a lot more dignified now. She slowly turns around and says, Huh? She continues to stare me down. Oh, you mean this? Hold out the small bundle. Tokiko takes it from me wordlessly. Taking a look inside, she murmurs softly. Huh? I'm not really sure how to answer that. Yes, and? I see. Guess that means you guys already know who I really was, huh? I remember how strange the atmosphere there was when I went for my meeting with the leader. Investigate, huh? Really interested in hearing what kind of investigation you had to do in order to dig up all that stuff about my past. What? But you mentioned the name to the holy prophet, and she was like, oh, I know him. Plans. So your prophecies were all just part of some plan? They research whoever's meeting with their leader and speak about them in a way that sounds supernatural. However, Tokiko doesn't respond to my question. Is she implicitly admitting that the leader's powers are just a sham? Hold on, what about... Still something that doesn't quite make sense. As far as I find it to believe, the things that the leader said to me at that time weren't things that could be uncovered with just a simple investigation. So that's the power that her holiness possesses? Does that mean those prophecies of hers really do exist? Even though Tokiko is a member of Senri, I could sense something resembling doubt in her. Do you really believe that stuff? Does your leader really have some kind of supernatural power? My questions are answered with silence. From the beginning. However, she's already sealed her lips. Wait, what's that supposed to mean? Probably. Tokiko suddenly raises her face and stares right at me. Alright. Tokiko's question. Why did we save her, even though we knew that it put us in danger? Well, it's not that big of a deal, really. I wanted some new leads, plus you just happened to collapse there right in front of me. Thought that you might be useful in some way, so I saved you. It's pretty much the gist of it. Something wrong with that? It's just that I point to Kazuna lying curled up on the tatami. She has a different outlook. She's looking for a missing sister, and it looks like you're the person who holds the key to finding her. But really, that had nothing to do with it. She simply helped you because you were in trouble. Kazuna's rather simple-minded, see? I can't believe it either. It's the first time I've seen someone willing to clean up someone else's vomit without thinking about what they'll get in return. Tokiko's cheeks flushed slightly pink. What, did you forget already? Last night you barfed all over your own clothes and... Yeah, and? Go back to bed. Kazuna leaps up from the tatami, startled by Tokiko's shout. She looks at me and Tokiko in turn. It's nothing, really. Sorry for waking you up and all. I say, suppressing a smile. Oh. I love that so much. Just, oh. Kazuna nods, a look of confusion on her face. And shortly after noon, Doji arrives at my place with the results of her investigation into Senri. Just my luck, she happens to walk in just as we're changing Tokiko's bandages. Kazuna's using a wet cloth to deftly wipe down on Tokiko's back.
申し訳ありません。面倒をおかけして。いいえ、いいんですよ。それにしても時子さん、お肌が綺麗ですね。なんか雰囲気も上品っていうんですか？それにおっぱいも大きいですし、私憧れちゃいますよ。
With a sidelong glance at Kazuna's ministrations, I start explaining to Toji how this all came about.
なるほど。
Toji lowers her voice so that the other two ladies can't hear.
あの女が追われているのは承知の上で世話をしているんだな。
A certain someone wouldn't shut up about that, yeah. Point at
こ
Kazuna.
の場所を気づかれた気配は。
It looks like everything's fine for the moment. People around this area saw us, though it's only a matter of time before the cult figures that out. We should switch location before things get dangerous.
わかった。それは私が手配する。
Toji turns her eyes to Tokiko.
彼女から何か聞き出せたか？
No, nothing at the moment, no.
何？
Kazuna was particularly insistent on me not burdening her with anything unnecessary until her injuries heal.
シューゴ。
Toji's face is a study in exasperation.
お前、もう尻に敷かれているのか？
Brother, are you already whipped? No, I've never relished the thought of forcing information out of people, even though that's totally what you did when Kazuna wasn't here. Back in my cop days, I used to have arguments over that very concept with some of my coworkers. Looks like Toji's not very pleased with my answer.
話にならない。何を悠長なことを。
She says and stands up, evidently disgusted with me.
やはりお前は甘すぎる。
Hey,
私
Toji,
が尋問しよう。
are you really going to defy Kazuna? Toji stares silently down at Tokiko, who's sitting up in her futon.
当時さん？
However, Toji doesn't even spare a glance at Kazuna.
ヒョウという女を知っているな。この女だ。2週間前、死の腕から逃げ出した後、お前たちの教団に出入りしていたはずだ。
Toji pulls out a photograph from her pocket. I've seen this photo before. It shows a young woman who looks almost exactly like Kazuna. Tokiko just stares down at the photograph.
答えろ！仕草時子！
Toji bellows at Tokiko, then seizes the smaller woman by her collar.
私はこの二人のように優しくもなければ気が長くもない。
A ruthless glint surfaces in Toji's crimson eyes.
早く答えた方が貴様のためだと思うが。
As they stare each other down, mere centimeters apart, Tokiko doesn't even budge. She just gazes at Toji without a word.
貴様、何を隠している？
乱暴はダメです、当時さん。
Kazuna clings onto Toji's arm.
シュウゴさん、当時さんを止めてください。
You think I could stop this amazing woman? No.
シュゴ、カズナを抑えておけ。
Oh, come on. They're both so stubborn. Either one of them looks like they're going to give in. Nuts. Looks like there's nothing we can do. We have no conclusive proof, so Tokiko doesn't feel like talking. Let's see, the out-of-place feeling I got when I saw the leader, plus the reaction Tokiko exhibited when she saw Kazuna. Both those events give rise to a single theory. Turn to face Tokiko and put my assumption up to the test. The woman in this picture is Senri's leader. Her name is Kosuke Yura, the very girl we're searching for. Am I wrong, Shigasa Tokiko? Kazuna looks over at Tokiko, her eyes pleading for an answer.
本当ですか、時子さん。
After a few breathless moments of silence, she opens her mouth to speak, still looking down.
高城さんのおっしゃる通り、その写真の方は、しかし、あの方はすでに殺されています。
But she hasn't. Okay, so she faked her death. Because she's good like that, apparently. Apparently she's a cunning individual. Because clearly she's not dead, right? She's not dead because they said she was dead in the normal ending. And now, but then she came back at the end of the normal ending. So clearly she's not dead, she's somewhere, right? I puff on a cigarette as I sit among the noisy crowd inside Milk Hall, waiting. Let's see. I'm going to explain this so that he'll understand. All the things Tokiko spoke to me about were way more complicated than I had anticipated. Still have yet to finish putting all the pieces together in my head. I hear some footsteps approaching and look up to see what it is. Arashima-san, bundled up in a black overcoat, shoots me a piercing look. I apologize for calling you out here at such a busy time, Arashima-san. Why don't you take a seat for now? Indicate the chair across from me. I haven't seen you since that investigation a little while ago. He nods, a haggard look on his face. Conditions down at the precinct have changed. True enough. He allows himself a derisive chuckle. Any progress on the case after that? Arashima-san stops, evidently at a loss for words. Is there a problem? Momentarily puzzled, Arashima-san finally shakes his head in resignation. Could you explain, please? Weirdness is evident in his voice. The weirdness is evident in his voice as Arashima-san continues. Crow feathers. That means that. Arashima-san pauses and lets out a weary sigh. I see. Don't worry, I got you. No, the answer's quite simple. He raises his voice, evidently caught off guard. Are you aware of the existence of a group known as Senri?
Senrikyo?
Arashima-san prompts me to elaborate. Could you immediately put out a warrant for the arrest of one of their leaders, a man named Akao Ikuma? He's the man behind the murders of both Ayasaki Takako and Ota. As Arashima-san holds his breath in rapt silence, I tell him about my rescue of Shikasa Tokiko and her connection to Senri.
なるほど。その女は千里教の幹部であるにもかかわらず、教団から追われて逃げてきたと、そこまでは分かった。しかしそれがどうして上野の事件とつながるんだ?
Well, here's where things start to get interesting. Start to explain everything I heard from Tokiko. It's a tale involving the history of Senri, as well as Akao Ikuma's crimes. It all started when a new leader came to power within Senri. At that time, they were still a rather small organization. According to Tokiko, this took place 2 years ago. Back then, Senri operated under the name Congregation of the Blessed. They had far, far fewer followers. Their doctrines hadn't been fully fleshed out yet. The charismatic nature of the original leader had been the lifeline of the group. In those early days, their leader was somewhat deluded, didn't possess the talent to expand the church's doctrines. He also forced a bunch of women to have intercourse under the pretense that it was a holy ritual. They had numerous brushes with the law. Sounds like classic cult shit. I glance at Arashima-san, only to find him with his face downcast. You're not feeling well, Arashima-san. Okay, if you say so. Then a sudden change took place inside the small group. Without any forewarning, the leader brought in a blind girl, saying that he had found his successor. She possessed real supernatural powers. My powers are a far cry from hers. I'm not fit to lead this church, he had said. After babbling on and on as though possessed, the leader disappeared after introducing the girl to the rest of the church members. Yeah, apparently said he was going on a 1,000-day pilgrimage, but he vanished like smoke on the wind. Nobody had any idea where he went. That's when Akao Ikuma made his debut in Senri, pretty much taking the place of the old leader. Oh, what a coincidence. He joined the Congregation of the Blessed under the pretext that he was an old friend of the new leader, an assistant to the blind girl. Oh. I'm guessing Mr. Akao is either connected to the Narahashi, I believe that's the name. The Narahashi guy, or either is the Narahashi guy or has some connection to him or that family. So he's like, ah, yes, I know the blind girl. We have history. Ho ho ho. Akao did brilliant work after he entered the church. Took the delusions of the previous leader, mixed in some tenets of Buddhism, Christianity, and other religions, and turned it into something anybody could understand. The hierarchy was established within the church, with the leader being at the absolute top. Members who had donated large sums of alms and those who had contributed to the church were conferred elevated status. The ranks were absolute, and higher ranks were allowed to do whatever they wanted within the church. In addition, he dangled the new leader's mystical powers like bait in front of the new followers. Her prophecies could accurately see into the future, and members of high rank could ask for one at any time. Furthermore, he spread about the information that anybody could gain powers like the leader after going through religious training. His clever publicity played specifically to human desires. People clinging to faint hopes of getting what they wanted, as well as those motivated by desire, gradually began gathering to the Congregation of the Blessed. It was also Akao Ikuma's suggestion to change the name of the church to Senri, as Congregation of the Blessed had become infamous due to the obscene acts of the previous leader. He then publicized a certain prophecy during the grand unveiling of the new church of Senri. The apocalypse is nigh. Only those who believe in Senri shall be saved on that day. The holy prophet will exchange her own life in order to save the souls of the Senri faithful. Then the prayers of the surviving faithful will miraculously resurrect the holy prophet, who will guide them through the post-apocalyptic world. That got written up into the Book of Purgatory, which was also rumored to prophesize the murders that occurred here in Ueno. People say that the bizarre murders that took place were omens. Why? Because the things written in the Book of Purgatory actually happened.
その噂は知っている。署内にもその事実を重視する輩もあんな文章はどんな風にでも解釈できる。その千里教とかいう連中が都合のいい部分を引用しているだけだ。
That's what I thought to begin with. However, you're wrong. It's the complete opposite.
逆だと?
Yeah, this might be hard to believe since out of left field, but pull out the name list of Senri members I had gotten from Toji. Please have a look at this page. Point out a certain name.
Fukamizu Kaoru?
Yep, right there, clear as day. Fukamizu Kaoru, the person behind these bizarre serial killings, was a member of Senri.
ちょっと待て、シュゴ。それはありえない。深水は熱心なキリスト教の信奉者だったはずだ。
That was probably just an act she put on.
なんだと?
Kaiyo Academy is a missionary school with strict regulations. Their official policy is that all teachers are Christians. Just think about it. What would happen if one of the teachers at this academy revealed themselves to be part of a shady new cult? In the best case scenario, they'd be transferred to another academy. Worst case scenario, they might immediately lose their job. Fearing either of those possibilities, Fukamizu kept her own connections to Senri hidden. Akao was then able to use her position to achieve his own goals. Now that I think about it, there were some things regarding Fukamizu Kaoru that just didn't seem to fit. When she faced off against Toji underneath the church, she kept chanting some kind of prayer. But as far as I know, there aren't any scriptures matching it in the Bible. When I asked Shikasa Tokiko about it, my suspicions were confirmed. They were prayers from Senri.
しかし
Arashima-san opens his mouth to speak, seemingly unsatisfied. However, I cut him off and continue. There was still something else that didn't sit right with me. Fukamizu confessed that she ate the bodies of the girls she killed in order to revive her own uterus. Where did such twisted thoughts arise from? Needless to say, there's nothing like that in the Bible. Perhaps she received some kind of divine revelation. But then, where did such an idea originate? As I fire off questions at Arashima-san, I'm reminded of my conversation with Nana.
何か作為的なものを感じるね。どうも狂人がひねり出したにしては理が勝ちすぎているような気がするんだ。あの刹那的な深水君がそんな目的論的な狂い方をするのかな。
そんなもの我々にわかるわけがない。
The way these crazy people think, he mutters with evident distaste. Oh, but we do. She was guided into those actions.
なんだって?
Arashima-san eyes me suspiciously. Akao Ikuma, the person who knew how lonely and troubled she was, sowed the seeds of madness within her heart. He told her, you need a miracle from God. To achieve that, you must...
その男が深水を操っていたというのか?
Well, I wouldn't put it that way. He just gave her an outlet to fulfill the paranoid delusion she had in the first place. No matter how simple an answer it might have been, It was more than enough for Hukamiza, who'd been building up a world of delusions around herself for many years. When those twisted thoughts finally found an outlet, they exhibited themselves violently. Her actions eventually led to her own destruction. Arashima-san seems disgusted.
そんなデタラメな話。第一、そんな回りくどい真似をして、赤尾という男に何の得がある。
Well, I'm glad you
まさかその男が教師の予言を実現するために自作自演を働いたというのか。
Yeah. Tokiko's confession comes flooding back into my brain.
煉獄の書に関する不信は、ずいぶん前から教団内でも持ち上がっていたのです。何一つとして起こらない予兆。訪れる気配もない週末。それも当然でした。
We're like, where the hell is the apocalypse? We've been waiting on it. It should be here by now. The Book of Purgatory was something Akao had cooked up after he returned from the war, using his own nightmares as the main motifs. Simply put, it was just another tool for him to incite anxiety among the followers and strengthen their faith in the church. They were aware of that much, but...
しかし現実に、多くの者が終末の予言を信じ、その予言の存在は、信者たちの間で日増しに大きくなっていきます。もう後戻りはできません。私たちは岐路に立たされました。煉獄の書は偽物だったと公表するか、それともこのまま口をつぐんで信徒が予言の存在を忘れてくれるのを待つか。
That was when Akao began his terrible work. The border between delusion and reality had already become blurred for Akao. His face devoid of expression, he had declared, "We shall make these prophecies come alive with our own hands. It is necessary in order to achieve salvation."
Shugo.
Arashima-san sighs in exasperation after hearing Tokiko's tale.
お前こそ冷静に考えるんだ。そんな都合のいい話があるわけがない。その赤尾という男が予言を実現させようとしている。そこまでは正しいとしよう。
He continues prefacing his next statement with a however.
予言が公表されたのは2年も前だ。もし深水のような人間が現れなかったら、その男はどうするつもりだったんだ。そう簡単に殺人衝動を持った人間なんて見つかるはずもない。その時点で計画は水泡にキスじゃないか。いくらなんでもずさんすぎる。
I'm telling you, it's the complete opposite, Harashima-san. I repeat what I told him earlier. You just said it yourself. You're just quoting passages that happen to fit the circumstances.
それが何だというんだ。
That's exactly what Akao was doing. Hukamiza wasn't chosen because she matched the conditions for the prophecies. It's the other way around. He found passages from the prophecies that conformed to the pain Hukamiza felt inside her heart. If Hukamiza had been of no use to him, Akao would have probably chosen a different Senri follower. People who desire to join Senri generally bear some kind of trauma in their hearts. In Akao's case, he would have been able to find a pawn to do his bidding without much effort. I continue my explanation. However, it is true that Akao saw Hukamiza's existence as terribly convenient. Prophecies were brought to light in a ghastly manner.
その男が
Arashima-san slowly opens his mouth to speak.
綾崎貴子と音羽の2人を殺したというのか。深水と同様に死体を予言に模して。
Yeah, that's what Shigusa Tokiko told me.
信じられんな。そこまで回りくどいことを考える男がどうして自分の手を汚す。
Shigusa Tokiko said that there were a number of terrible coincidences that led to that. Otoa's proteges had been sucked into Senri, and when she went to get them back, Otoa learned about the lurid state of affairs within the organization. Oh.
赤尾に呼ばれて、私が地下へ行ってみると、全ては終わっていました。
That entirely makes sense why Otoa got chosen then. But at that point, she wasn't lured to Hukamiza. She had gone straight to the Senri headquarters, and they're like, she had seen too much, and they had to silence her. I see.
都合の悪いところを見られたんで、後々面倒になると困るから始末した。
It was what Akao told Shigusa Tokiko. However, she could not accept what he had said, because the dismembered corpse she had seen was indescribably grotesque. If he just wanted to stop Otoa from talking, he needn't have gone that far. He could have just told one of the lower-ranking faithful to take care of it. Akao was probably unable to contain himself. He saw the fallen body before him as raw material. That's why Akao was burning with such twisted passion when I thought the corpse before him was filled with sublime beauty. Then,
解体された死体を前に赤尾は笑っていました。これも予兆の一部として深水に罪をかぶってもらおうと思う。それから赤尾は解体された死体の
裏の部分。
are you aware that there are Senri members in the upper echelons of our government and corporations?
なあ、噂だけは聞いているが。
They don't believe in the Senri faith, they're just connected to Senri because they partake in the entertainment that Akao provides. Oto's protégés were used for that entertainment.
強制売春ということか。
He used that as bribery so they would approve Senri's activities. That's the basic gist of it. Arashima-san ponders it silently. He had Shigasa Tokiko dispose of Ota's corpse. That's what she was doing when she was spotted in Ueno Park. Furthermore, it seems that Shigasa Tokiko was uninvolved with the other case, Ayasaki Takako's murder. She had begun to distance herself from the church. She was getting suspicious of Akao's motives at the time. That's when Ayasaki Takako's murder happened. I pause momentarily. Arashima-san has a grim look on his face. He begins, his voice no more than a murmur.
新しい教師は黙って見逃していたのか。いくら教団のためとはいえ、赤尾の行動は異常すぎる。
This new leader just sat there and looked past them. Well, you see, this new leader couldn't look at all because she's blind. And that's pretty much it. But, continue with another fragment of Tokiko's tale.
しかしあの方はすでに殺されています。
殺されている？
He cocks his head in suspicion.
それは変じゃないか。教師が殺されたとなれば、もっと千里教に動きがあってもいい。しかし、教師が変わったなどという噂は聞いた覚えがない。
Of course not. It would have caused Of course, see, use the exact. Well, of course not. Senri maintains a peaceful appearance on the outside. Besides, I'd personally met and talked with the leader. She's alive and well.
どういうことだ、シュゴ。
Irritation in his voice starts to show. Arashima-san's annoyed because he can't see where all this is leading. Basically, to sum it all up, I then give him the answer. The current leader is a fake.
煉獄の書の記述には、教師様が自らの命を絶つことで、そして死から蘇ることで、神の奇跡が完成すると。
In order to make that happen, Akao picked out a girl from the congregation who resembled the leader. He even made her face look like the leader's and had her play the role of a body double. That's why the curtain. That's why the curtain. However, the girl must have caught on to Akao's plan as she took the first chance she got to escape from the cult. The place she chose to take refuge in was a mansion that belonged to one of the executives of the Hand of Death. In other words, the girl who was spotted in Ueno, the girl who brought me into this case. She wasn't Yoda at all.
影武者の死と復活に見せかけた教師様の登場。それで予言は完成されるはずでした。しかし、あるよ。
何が起こったんだ？
Shigasa Tokiko saw something. And that was the body double secretly burying the body of the leader in the mountains behind the Senri compound. Ever since then, the leader hasn't shown herself in front of the others, and Akao seized the reins of the cult for himself. At some point, Shigasa Tokiko began to harbor suspicions about the leader and Akao.
その男の目的は何なんだ？自作自演までして教師の予言を実現させる。とても正気とは思えないが。
Arashima-san continues, his voice lowered to a murmur.
狂信者というなら少しは理解できる。しかし話を聞く限
Nothing
り
is ever that cut and dry,
そ
my
う
friend.
単純でもないようだ。
Yeah, who knows? Try racking my brains for an answer. In reality, my first impression of Akao leads me to believe that he's too cool and calculating to be some sort of religious fanatic. Apparently, Akao didn't inform Shigasa Tokiko about his true intentions. The thing is, he did seem to harbor some abnormally deep feelings of attachment for the leader. There are a lot of blanks in his personal history before he showed up in Senri. He calls himself an artist and he's reasonably well known, but according to Shigasa Tokiko, he was a member of some special forces unit that fought in a bunch of battles on the mainland during the war.
どうにも得体の知れない男だな。
I glumly nod my agreement. Time passes, we both sit there in silence. Arashima-san finally breaks the silence after pondering things.
お前にその告白をした女、 仕草トキコと言ったな。千里教がもし本当にそんな集団なら、その女を無事に逃がすとは思えない。
I'm hiding her at my new apartment, so I think she's safe for the time being.
新しい部屋？あの召喚はどうした？
I moved out of my room with Yukishiro. Apparently my presence there was just causing everyone else trouble. I asked Toji to get me a place in an apartment complex down in Aomachi. Arashima-san hedges his words, though he's finally understood the meaning behind what I've said.
ああ、我々が店に踏み込んだせいだな。
It was about time I left anyhow. There's no way I could have imposed on Madame Majaka's hospitality forever. Put on a wry grin as I shrug. Well, even though I got myself a new place, it looks like I might have to part with it soon. I'm quite a mess.
ほう。
There's a chance that some people in the neighborhood spotted Shigasa Tokiko as I was taking her over there. I told you to go and prepare a safe house. The Senri cultists probably won't be able to get to us if we're in the hands of Death's territory.
ちょっと待て、それでは今、お前の部屋に残っているのは、その女と光月一奈。
Yeah, that's right.
二人だけか。お前としたことが迂闊だったな。それを素人の娘、たった一人に任せて。
No, you've got it wrong. Toji stationed one of her underlings there. They should be safe as long as the building doesn't burn down or anything.
なるほど。
Arashima-san nods, evidently satisfied.
しかし、とんでもない話だな。
Pulls out a cigarette from his breast pocket, a wry grin on his face. Well, I feel the same way.
しばらく外で頭を冷やしてくれ。一服したら戻るから、シューゴはここで待っていてくれ。
Oh, don't tell me you're in on it, Arashima. Don't tell me you're in on it. Please don't tell me you're in on it. That's not what I saw coming. I don't like the way you're saying that. I'm gonna go just head outside for a bit, have a quick smoke. You just sit tight here. You wait here. I'm gonna go away and do something else. Like, Arashima, I want to trust you. I do. But also... Sure thing. Tokiko confessed all of these sordid details about Senri's inner workings to me just a few hours ago. More bizarre than I'd ever imagined. So I haven't really finished putting all the pieces together. I understand how perplexed Arashima-san must be feeling right now.
すまないな。
Sorry about this. That smile's on his face. Arashima-san vanishes outside. A few minutes later, I finished drinking my cup of coffee. I look around to order a refill.
ああ、待たせたな。
There are flakes of snow clinging to the shoulders of Arashima-san's coat. Because it started snowing. How'd it go? You able to wrap your head around the matter?
そうだな。
Ponders things for a moment before answering.
しかしその話が本当だとすると、仕草時子の身が心配だな。何しろ唯一の証人だ。千里教の連中とて黙って見逃しはしないだろう。いずれにしてもその女、うちの署で保護した方がいい。
Bad idea.
おそらく死体遺棄などの罪には問われると思うが、捜査に協力するのであれば、罪が軽くなるように取り計らってやることもできる。
Okay, she'll agree to that. However, there are several conditions that need to be met for cooperation.
なるほど。協力するから自分の罪を軽くしてくれ、とでも言ったのか。そういえば、随分人目につくのを嫌がっていたようだしな。
Now, it's a bit different. Shigasa Tokiko wants the leader of Senri to be protected. She also wishes for the continued existence of the church.
ほう。
Arashima-san narrows his eyes in surprise. Tokiko is afraid of returning to Senri without anybody believing in her story. To be honest, it is a rather bizarre-sounding tale. Tokiko herself realizes that her story will not be easily accepted. That's why she was unsure of what path to take. Who could she rely on? Who could she trust? That's when Kazan and I showed up.
随分と殊勝だな。どうしてその女はそこまで千里教にこだわる？
Hell if I know, dude. Well, just as Arashima-san had said, besides it being her religion, there's another reason Shigasa Tokiko is attached to Senri. Well, the reason is related to Shigasa Tokiko's own personal affairs.
父を探してほしいのです。
What?
父の行方がわからないうちは、私は教団から離れることができなかった。
Now it...
父親の捜索だと。
Arashima-san's voice is tinged with disbelief. I nod and continue. Father's name is Shigasa Michio. He was Senri's leader, the man who disappeared 2 years ago. Okay. happened back when Senri was still called the Congregation of the Blessed. Shigasa Tokiko was the product of her father Michio and an obscure female follower. She was raised until adulthood in the congregation. Her mother, passionate believer in Michio's teachings, forced her young daughter to adopt the teachings of the church. Isolated inside the church's facilities, without any knowledge of the outside world, Tokiko was instructed that the leader's words were absolute. Her young mind was gradually indoctrinated in the ways of the Congregation of the Blessed. After she reached adulthood, Tokiko was appointed to an executive position in the church due to her piousness. As her standing within the cult began to rise, she was able to see what was really going on behind the scenes. The leader's obscene acts, the vast amounts of money stockpiled from alms, the scandals surrounding the church. At some point, she realized that the place she was living was smothered in endless lies and greed. However, her faith still did not waver. The faith in the leader, indoctrinated into her from an early age, was still firmly rooted within her heart. Akao used her faith to take advantage of her. He made her take care of the cult's shady business, dangling presumed knowledge of the former leader's whereabouts as bait. She couldn't find it in her to disobey him. Arashima-san exhales a deep sigh. It definitely is a lot deeper than I fully expected. I feel the same way.
結局この1ヶ月の間に起きた連続猟奇事件の裏にはそれで一応の辻褄は合うようだ。
Arashima-san muses to himself. Yeah, I guess. I nod, not exactly sure myself. It does seem to fit. I've still got this doubt gnawing away at my heart. How did Akao meet Kosuke Yura and then end up joining Senri? What led to Akao brainwashing the members, and why did Shigasa Tokiko have those drugs on her? And above all else, why were Rin and Takako-chan chosen as victims? Okay, let's stop and ponder. Alright. Stop and ponder. So, Tokiko has the drugs on her because this Akao guy was one of the researchers from the sanatorium that Yoda stayed at. I don't know if he was the lead researcher who bought her from Keiichiro, but he was definitely one of those researchers before the war. Well, no, actually, no, everything in this story has happened after the war, correct? Even the 10 years ago thing, it was I'm pretty sure. Because Akao comes back from the war. I assume they start the sanatorium. That's the thing. We're still operating under the pretense that Akao Ikuma is his actual name, when in all actuality it could just totally be a fake name. We've definitely seen that trick pulled before in the sequel. But yeah, my bet is he's in some way connected to that sanatorium that bought Yura from Keiichiro. I'm guessing he was a researcher that was involved with her, whether he was the head guy or someone else. That's why he also has access to all these various drugs and whatnot. That's why Tokiko has those drugs with her. Because Nana even stated that family, the Narahashis, were connected to pharmaceuticals and chemicals and whatnot. They were chemists. So I'm definitely guessing he's connected to that family. But then his last question is an interesting one, right? Above all else, why were Rin and Takako-chan chosen as victims? So I think Takako's I think Takako is just kind of an easy target. I think it was almost in a similar vein. Okay, maybe not quite a similar vein, but I think she was just an easy target for one, because she was there at the play, right? And so Akao saw her. He saw the conversation they had in front of the theater about, the whole arranged marriage and whatnot. After Shugo turns her down, she walks away dejected. He managed to get her alone. Easy target. I mean, the big question is, why was Rin decided? And it could just be a similar case of like just an easy target. Maybe it's too easy of a target. But I'm guessing he might have taken note of like, because the fact that Rin was staying some nights at a different location, right? He takes notes of her route from one place to another. Or at the end, ooh, actually, Rin and Tokiko could have been chosen because he knew that Shugo was investigating, right? So, clearly, up until very recently, he was very close with Kazuna, right? They were part of the same theater group. They were all buddy-buddy. I'm sure she would talk about her friends and whatnot. He would discover, and he already knew that Shugo was connected to Kazuna, right? So, maybe he's thinking if he can kill off these people around Shugo, he can scare him away from looking into the murders. So he hears from Kazuna about these various people connected to Shugo, like Rin, for example. He's like, okay, he knows this, because maybe Kazuna like talks about like when she walked in on Rin and Shugo that morning, right? Had a little conversation with him. So he thinks, okay, he's clearly close with the Rin girl. Get her next. Right? And then he sees Shugo and Ayasaki at the theater, and Ayasaki told Akao that they were dating, right? Ayasaki told Akao that they were together. So maybe he didn't see the falling out outside of the theater. After they left the theater, Akao has it in his head that, oh, this Tokiko girl is his actual girlfriend. And once again, sees it as an opportunity to try to kill someone close to Shugo. Right? Right? No, actually, I think I'm onto something. I think they were picked as targets entirely because he knew that Shugo was investigating the case. He knew that Shugo was on the trail. He knew about it thanks to Kazuna. Kazuna was unintentionally feeding him information because obviously Kazuna had no idea of what was going on. So through Kazuna, he learned that he was close with Rin. And then through him taking Tokiko to the theater, he learned that he believed that Tokiko was very close with Shugo, even though that didn't happen to be the case. Which then kind of makes sense why when you take Hatsune to see the show, that's essentially where the game ends. Because you take Hatsune to see the show, she confesses her feelings, you decide to just leave it all behind. And then you never really hear anything more about it because essentially Akao's tactic worked. He scared you away from the case. Okay. No, I think I'm cooking with that one. I think I'm onto something. Maybe I'm just on something, but I think I'm onto something. Shikasa Tokiko's tale wasn't quite enough to dispel my doubts.
Shugo.
I whipped my head up at Arashima-san's question. Still got some questions left, but guess I have no choice but to ask Akao himself to get the answers. Nah, I'm cooking with this one.